There's a lot going on right now in terms of limiting wholesalers, and they're putting a lot of laws and regulations for them.
I learned a term called like micro flipping, which is basically like when you're flipping something for very, very little profit just to kind of keep, the wheels turning.
We sold about 500 properties last year. Obviously, not all 500 would work for one investor.
Wow, man, I'm just thinking about 100 agents. So these agents are specifically only doing wholesaling. They're not doing traditional real estate.
We are actually covering majority of the Southern California. So let's say from Ventura County to San Diego, San Bernardino, Riverside.
Part of one of the largest wholesaling firms here in California. I got Paymon straight from Fair Trade Real Estate. Paymon, thank you for joining me.
Thank you for inviting me.
I'm in the real estate and the real estate of mine.
Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to another episode. Today we got episode number 22 for you guys. I got one of the largest, for you guys that are really into wholesaling, really into obviously real estate, but to be specific, wholesaling. I got a guy here who's working for a part of one of the largest wholesaling firms here in California. I got Paymon straight from Fair Trade Real Estate. Paymon, thank you for joining me. And welcome to the show.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah. Of course. So guys, I met Paymon online. So I'm also, obviously, really big into real estate. I'm looking for property, and Paymon is just shooting property after property after property. And I'm like, holy hell, Paymon, where the hell? I got to hit this guy up. I got to see what he's about. I got to see how he got so many properties under contract that he has, and he's spitting out to his investors. But first, obviously, guys, we'll chat a little bit with Paymon on how he got into this business, and I'll kind of leave the show to you a little bit. Paymon, if you want to just introduce yourself, where you came from and how you got started in real estate.
Sure. Name is Paymon. You can call me off-market guy. But I came to the United States when I was 18 in 2010, so I'm like 33 now. I've been all around the place in the States. I lived in so many states, and obviously, as an Iranian Persian, I chose California to end up with. So I'm gonna stick with here. I'm not gonna move anymore. But I got into real estate, and I used to do different things before I get in real estate, like design and engineering for medical devices. But I think in 2018, that was the first time that I was introduced to wholesaling. I was actually on the way to here. I was trying to remember the name of the guy that I saw the advertising on YouTube, but I couldn't find him.
That's okay.
I can't give him the credit, but
you saw somebody online?
It was someone online saying that you can make money in real estate without having money.
Okay. There's a lot of guys like that.
Yeah, but I think he was one of the first guy that I've ever seen that doing wholesaling or making videos. And then at the time I was doing something else. I couldn't even afford getting into his classes at the time. So, but I knew that I did research. I looked up into it, and then I figured that's legit way to actually do it, and it's possible. There's a lot going on right now in terms of limiting wholesalers, and they're putting a lot of laws and regulations for them.
Right.
I don't know if you've heard about them. Like Virginia is one of them that's just like
I have.
tightening.
I heard that they're trying to basically, you pretty much have to be a real estate agent in some of these states, essentially.
Exactly. Which is not bad. It doesn't hurt if you actually educate yourself a little bit before you get into wholesaling. That would always help.
I like that a little bit, because I like that about, sorry to cut you off, but so our business, the finance industry, or, like loan origination, mortgage brokering, before 2010, it was like that. It was basically the wild, wild west, where you can do whatever you want. Kind of like how wholesaling is right now, and it kind of reminds me of that. So in 2010, after the market crashed, they created something called the NMLS. But now, the government is basically regulating our industry. Now we have licenses and stuff. So I don't know but wholesaling is getting on the map. So people are obviously making a lot of money from it. and the government might come in and regulate it and basically require you to have a license. Maybe we'll see. Who knows what's going to happen? But it looks that is happening in some states. I believe Arizona is one.
Yeah. There are multiple states.
Just Arizona just comes to mind because I've been dealing with something in Arizona.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I know Texas, and Texas doesn't do it still, at least because I
No
know
license
for a fact
is required?
because there's no license because I mean, fair trade, we're all licensed agents anyway. But I know that there are still people doing wholesaling like pretty good, and it's a good market for wholesaling in Texas. We recently opened offices over there too, so we have 2 offices over there, and then.
Well, let's go back a little bit. I know before we talk about the specific company that you're with now, how did you just get into wholesale? You said you saw some guy online, but can you kind of go into that a little bit? Like, how did you actually get into wholesaling and like?
So that was the beginning of it, and then I would say, I was trying to get into it, but I realized that I know nothing about real estate, although I was always interested in real estate. So first thing, even though I could actually do wholesale without a license at the time, I still decided to actually get the license and get the education first, so at least I can familiarize myself with the process and everything. And then that helped a lot, like in terms of and then actually I didn't start at wholesaling right after. I started working with the brokerage, with the team, kind of learned a little bit and went through the trainings that they had, kind of understood how figure out market value of a property, like a little bit of details that you actually need in order to be able to do wholesale.
So did you actually ever do as a real estate agent, or were you always in wholesaling?
I did it always as a real estate agent.
No, I mean, did you actually show people homes and list homes, things of that nature? Did you actually operate as an actual real estate agent, or were you always a licensed wholesaler?
Yeah, I didn't sell anything as an agent when I started.
Got it.
It was mainly going through the training and everything. I mean, it was tough for me because I didn't have a good network. Even when I started in Minnesota, that's just the timeline. I didn't have a big network. I'm basically by myself, going to different places for job, and then just starting over each time that I move. So I realized that I have to basically, first of all, get to know a lot of agents, so I can kind of expand my sphere of influence, and then from there I could basically start meeting investors, getting to know people that are actually buying, see the reason that they're buying is investment. So I showed a lot of properties. I tried to make the retail side of the real estate work at a time, but I just didn't have enough influence, I would say, at a time. So and I believe
this is before you got it with Fair Trade, right?
Yeah, it's Minnesota.
Oh, this is in Minnesota.
Yeah.
In Minnesota, you're just looking to meet investors. So you're looking to meet real estate agents to pretty much partner with them to get wholesale deals from them? Is that what the point?
That and to find investors. So I was basically relying on all the other agents to kind of give me.
But what were you doing then, or what you're finding the properties, or you have the properties?
At a time, I was basically showing. I was showing. So we had a team. The team basically would have these properties that are coming.
Got it. Okay.
So we would try to basically sell those properties before we put them in the market. So there were a couple of agents that I could connect with, and they would I would help them by showing the properties, going to the properties, and have investors look at the property and all that. So. And that was kind of like a good flow for me, even though I didn't have a retail sale, but it was a really good experience to kind of understand and learn how to talk about investment in real estate and talk with investors and see what they're looking for, what are the things that they are actually considering when they are looking at a deal, or even agents on the other side. And then eventually I got a couple of investors that I could actually work with, and those investors I didn't do like off market, like wholesale, but it was like a retail transaction basically. So
Got it.
it was basically investor that would, at the time, I started in 2018 and then moved out of Minnesota by 2019.
Oh, so quickly.
And then it was
So
a
about
year.
1 year, yeah.
But in that 1 year, I could find an investor that actually did two properties. So I could
Yeah.
actually do two
I think
transactions
I was
there.
going to ask you, yeah. So now that you're in Southern California, what do you think is the big difference between, or what are your major differences between the Minnesota market, and you're probably in the Twin Cities, right, in Minneapolis, St. Paul,
Yeah, Twin Cities.
versus now you're in Southern California with the big boys, I guess. What's the biggest difference you think
I mean,
between? I would say like not only the real estate, obviously, of course, the prices,
yeah.
but what do you think the difference is between the people and what these investors are looking for in properties?
I mean, there might be some like difference in the strategies. Like I would say over there, the cost of renovation was cheap, and the turnaround was fast. So they would just
Yeah.
do flips and sell it quickly. The margin was less for sure. Now that I look at the numbers here,
Right.
you can probably make more money here, but at the same time, the price of the properties are higher. So
Yeah.
so you're risking more money for a better reward on the other hand.
Yeah, I know you're not a contractor, but I've asked somebody else this, and he wouldn't, because you just mentioned it, and he has no idea why. That like, why are we able to flip properties out there in like Minnesota and Michigan and these areas for like 35,000, and they're doing a flip, but it's the same size house here costing 95,000. It's like 3 times as much almost, right? And I don't know what it is. I can't really. I don't know if you. It's not. I know it's not really your field, but I don't know if you have any idea.
I mean, I would say it could depend on like I don't know, like natural resources of the state. That could be one thing. Like if a state is really rich in like wood and all that, they probably sell it cheaper.
Yeah.
Or like I don't know, like transportation routes and all that stuff.
But you find it. I just find it so weird how these guys are able to like do them for cheap, and then I guess over there also I learned a term called like micro flipping, which is basically like when you're flipping something for very very little profit, just to kind of keep the wheels turning. And when I first talked to you, you were kind of telling me about that, how like some investors buy just to keep their project manager working, their construction team working. They just buy to buy, even though the profit margin's next to nothing, but at least they have something going.
Exactly.
Is that does that go on here more, you think, or does it kind of go on in Minnesota more?
I would say here more. I see that definitely here. I was actually talking to another investor. She was saying the same thing yesterday. She was saying that we don't mind. Like they business normally, I would say maybe in these situations, they're actually like contractors. So that's their main business. So they're trying to keep that business alive. And then
they're contractors, and their side business is kind of flipping homes.
Right. So as a contractor, you want to keep the workers. You don't, you want to just go project by project. As long as you have a project that it can keep everyone busy. I mean, at the end of the day, you make probably like you're not gonna make like 80 grand or 100 grand, but like $30,000, you would still appreciate that, and you would just keep it. It's some money coming in, and then at the same time a project.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's completely different if you're a contractor, because you're running the business, you're buying products for your business to work on. I see that completely different. But what about for a guy like me? So I'm, excuse me, but I'm looking for property, and I'm now obviously I'm on your buyers list, but I'm on a couple other people's buyers list. I'm looking for homes. I know we talked about it. I don't know what to do, man. These homes are like, because I'm looking for something that is, I guess a medium rehab, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I would say like medium rehab. So we're talking a medium rehab for a 1,500 square foot, 1,700 square foot home here. It's like 90,000 to do that.
Could be.
80, it's like 80 to 100 is where everybody's like quoting me on a lot of these homes. But that's pretty much doing the whole house. Like, what exit strategy do you see for a lot of the homes that people are buying? Are these like long-term exit strategies, or? Because for flips, I feel like they're very tough, but long-term's always good. But where do you see your investors buying? Like, or what exit strategy do you see most investors using in the Southern California area?
I would say it's a little bit of both. It really depends on the investor. I see people flipping for sure. but obviously, like they're dealing with less margin, like they're making less money on it. But
Yeah.
at the same time, they might not be in the business of holding properties. They don't have the management team,
Yeah.
or they just don't want to deal with that because they just want to flip, and that's what they do.
That's their business strategy is to
Yeah,
flip.
but obviously on it really depends because we have a big pool of investors. We have like different people with different strategies, different level of taking risks, different margins. So,
Yeah.
some of them they're just starting. They're looking for their first project. When we had this discussion before, we recording, some of them they're just like they're trying to get rid of everything that they have, just move out of the state. So
Oh yeah.
it really depends. I would say, go back to your question. It really depends. What is your exit strategy? I would say you can be creative with any deal and try to figure out what is the best option to do at a time, whether it's a flip or buy and hold. Maybe you're trying to get to like a business. I don't know. Like it really depends.
Depends
what
on the person.
Yeah, what value you see in that property.
Right. Right.
Because a lot of investors, they don't. So we sold about 500 properties last year. Obviously, not all 500 would work for one investor. So it really depends. We're basically looking for the right investor, the one that actually knows, oh, I like this property, I can make it or sell it at that ARV because I'm familiar with this area. That's the only
Right,
reason. So
right.
I'm in this neighborhood. I've been living here. I know people that are coming and going. So I'm sure that I can sell that property like for a certain amount of money and make
Yeah.
a certain amount of profit. Versus if there's another investor that is not as familiar as the other investor, they'd
Right.
probably be like, we don't want to get into
Yeah.
it.
No, I'm with you, and I like that. I get the idea of what you're saying. That like you said, not every property is right for everybody, and everybody has a different exit strategy and things like that. No, I get it. Well, can we talk a little bit about fair trade?
Sure.
Can we talk a little bit about fair trade and like their, I guess, well, you just said they closed 500. This is for 2023. They closed
23, yes.
23 closed 500. That's 60 a month. If I
Yeah.
did that math right. Yeah.
We basically, on average, we do about 5 to 10 deals per week.
5 to 10 deals per week. Well, let's first talk about the acquisition strategy, right? So, what acquisition strategies are you guys? How are you guys getting all these properties under contract, basically? Like,
I mean, we are not limiting ourselves. I would say a lot of traditional ways that wholesalers used to do. We are basically using all those avenues, I would say. It's not only like, let's say, social media or
social
like,
media, yeah.
like mails, or we do everything.
You guys door knock too?
Well, not door knocking. Although it's not really like the brokerage that give you the path. It really goes back to the agents that what they are feeling about finding the deals, however they want to do it. Obviously, we have sources that we're trying to feed the agents, so they can basically call and kind of see if they can get it. But it also, I mean, different agents, they have different strategies too. So
What about
and
you?
they
I mean,
could
you
be-
specifically, what are you doing?
I mean, for me specifically, it's just mailing. It's cold calling. I'm more into traditional. I mean, I would love to actually get into like social media, but at the same time, I think those
Social media is kind of tough. I mean,
it is tough, yeah.
because social media, you're trying to attract people with homes that kind of need work, basically, and you're offering cash, essentially, for the home. Yeah, I mean, I would say that's a tough model, but it's not impossible or anything. But I think what you're doing is the correct way. I would say the mailing.
I mean, when you look at it,
And cold calling always works too. So yeah.
I mean, a lot of people that are selling right now, there are probably there are people that either want to downsize or upsize. I mean, upsizing, it's not realistic really with the current market, but let's say there are basically people that
They let their house go, essentially.
they had the house for a long time.
Yeah.
They either want to move out of state or they just want to downsize. I think I kind of forgot what was the point that I was getting to, but what were we talking?
We were just talking about. I first was talking to you about your acquisition strategy and what you're using, and but yeah, no, I think like I was just talking about the mailing and things of that nature. But you said so 5 to 10 properties a week is what you guys are putting under contract every week, or that's that's closing every week, or both, I guess.
It could be more. I mean, we always count the properties that we get out to our investors.
Okay,
and
so
it's
that's
not
contract properties under contract. Then is what
Yeah.
you're counting as, right?
And to give you some scale, it's not only like 5 to 10 agents. It's actually like we're about close to 100 agents.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you. How big
Yeah.
is the team?
So,
100 agents,
yeah,
huh?
Yeah.
Wow, that's a really big team.
We had started in 2020 and we expanded since then. I would say we are probably the only, I could say, the biggest wholesaling company. I mean, there are other wholesaling companies
Of
that
course,
are competing.
yeah.
I don't want to name, but it's a lot of properties.
I mean, 100 agents. That's what you guys are working with
close,
now.
Yeah.
That's a ton of people. These people are all in Southern California.
We do have some here. We have in Northern California. We have agents that they were sent to Texas to basically take care of the office over there. So
When did you guys set up the Texas branch?
when?
Yeah, when? How long has that been open?
I think since 23.
Oh, you guys just opened that up?
It was recently. if
Wow,
I'm not
man, I'm
mistaken.
just thinking about 100 agents. So these agents are specifically only doing wholesaling. They're not doing traditional real estate,
No, yeah.
just wholesale.
They're only
These people are all
specializing-
full time.
Yeah.
You think they all work full time, or some of these agents are kind of just scraping by type of
I
thing?
mean, it's yeah.
Everybody has deals, basically.
I would
Do
say
you guys put up
so.
numbers? Like, are you guys competing with each other?
Well, the thing is, you can either have a deal or you can sell it. So you don't.
No, I know, but you guys, I'm sure you guys compete on how many homes under contract type of thing, right?
We do, yeah. But the thing is, like, we do. I don't know if all the agents would actually produce something. I mean, when you look at the stats, like 5 to 10 deals, they're at least coming. I see that every week.
What's your top guy doing in your company? Like, what's the top guy or girl? How many deals are they doing a month?
I think the top one. I don't want to actually give out numbers because I'm not sure.
Or is roughly speaking? I mean, not every month. I mean, these are averages.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I don't want to give out numbers because I'm not sure about it. But we have agents that do move a lot of units. I would say maybe close to 100 units, not a month, but
Yeah, like a year.
Yeah.
I mean, that's still a ton of deals. And I guess obviously we all do this for the money. So I want to talk a little bit about the money. I mean, if I was a wholesaler, how much you think I can make as a wholesaler? Like I wholesale doing 5 deals a month. Like what's a wholesaler make?
I don't know. I mean,
People want to hear this, man. People want to know. Because
really
if
depends
they
on,
want to get into wholesaling, they want to know how much can I make, man? Come on.
Well, I would say, I mean, from the numbers out there, you can make anything from 5,000 to whatever number. I've seen deals with $100,000.
They've closed like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And obviously, most wholesalers are, for those of them that don't know, they're a lot of wholesalers using double closings now.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're familiar with that is. I'm sure that's probably a staple in your business now, right?
Yeah.
Do you guys do that on all your
we
files?
don't do assignments. Yeah, we do double close.
All double closing?
Yeah.
Okay. I guess for those of you guys that don't know, it's when it's an A to B transaction. So fair trade closes on the property, and then the very next day, the consumer actually closes on the property. And
It's simultaneous. So double closing is basically you have 2 escrows open that would move in parallel. So whatever I would say whatever terms that you have on the first escrow, that should exactly be identical on the second one. And terms could be anything, like the terms that you negotiated or like closing date and all that stuff. So if you are closing, so everything that's happening in one escrow on the front side, it should be identical and mirrored on the back side. So we basically purchase the property, we get the property on the contract, and then you technically close on it. So
For like
you will be on the
couple
chain of
hours
title.
maybe, or
It could be same day or like 24
same day or
hours,
next day. Yeah.
But we basically, you will appear on the chain of title. That's a good thing about double closing. So at least we are sure about the title of the properties that we give out. As a matter of fact, we actually give a free title insurance to all the investors that we work with.
Okay.
On top of that, we cover the closing cost as well. So
Yeah.
that's another thing that's that I like specific about fair trade.
Yeah, talk to me a little bit about that. Like, you guys are kind of specific, and honestly, you told me a little bit about it, and I didn't 100%. Now you could explain it on the podcast. How do you guys, when you advertise a property, you're saying you cover my closing? So let's just say now, I guess let's just give an example. And then you guys have a different strategy of listing every property or distributing every property. Like, some are first come, first serve. Some are like buy now. I feel like, I don't. You can obviously explain it to me because I don't really understand. But can you first explain what do you guys do when you release it and you pay for the closing costs? What does that mean? Like, a property's listed at 500,000 and you guys send it out to the investor. How do the numbers break down? So I'm buying it for 500,000. Closing costs are like 10 grand probably, to at least like 8 grand even, let's say.
Yeah.
So am I really buying it for 492 or 490 and then closing costs are 10,000? Like, I don't understand how that worked.
So basically what we do is that the price that we put on a property and give it out, that's the final price of it. So you can look at it in a way that we already considered your closing cost in the amount that,
So when I come to escrow, it's just 500 grand.
yes,
I don't pay
Yeah.
any closing costs.
no closing cost.
You guys credit the closing cost, or you paid it already on your other side of the transaction, or because somebody has to pay the escrow. That's what I'm saying.
We do it, yeah.
So you do it
We
on.
kind of count it and we include that in the price that we're giving. We kind of calculate.
So that's what I'm saying. So is the price really less than that, and then you add the closing cost to make it 500? That's what I'm saying.
I mean, you can. It kind of it's the same as like our profit, our own profit, like whatever the fee that we are trying to make on the property. We already include that into the package. So that, along with the closing costs and everything, it's already included in that price.
Okay.
So
no, if people ever buy from Fair Trade, they only have to worry about the price that you're advertising. There's no
Exactly.
other costs
no
associated.
other costs on top of that. And even the service, like there are a lot of websites and other like applications that basically charge you a subscription fee for the
Right.
same kind of service, but we don't even do that. We are requiring proof of fund. That's the only thing, and it's because we want to make sure that the investors are legit and they're actually have the fund available to do it.
Yeah.
That's the only thing we require. There's no subscription fee, no annual fee, nothing. And yeah, I mean, it's you
And then
get to look at.
You guys have different strategies of sending the properties out. Can you talk about like the different strategies of what types of properties are out there in terms of like the price points? Because you said some are kind of negotiable and some are not negotiable. Some are like auction and things of that nature, or is because some are first come first serve. Some you could see on the inside. Some you
Yeah.
kind of describe all that.
Well, the thing is, prices are not really negotiable.
Okay.
But there are in certain like situations that we have a tough time to sell the property, and then that time we would basically try to work it out with the investor, or sometimes we are not really negotiating for a huge amount of reduction. It's maybe like a couple of $1,000, so it would actually make a difference on the investor side to be able to make money. Even the closing costs that we cover, that's also helping. Like even
Yeah.
$10,000, that
That
could
helps.
help.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty much.
No, but I was kind of describing like some properties we can see and some properties we cannot. Right.
We are trying to get into the properties on all of them. It really goes back to the sellers, whether or not they want to or they can have the property available for us. We basically have some of the properties that would be available for investors to look at any time. And at the same time, we have other properties that we only have one-time access to the property. And it's because we have 100 agents, and let's say each agent had like 10 investors. Let's say like I've seen showings with like 40, 20 people in there. So we wanna set up a time that we can show it to everyone instead of trying to like show the investors one by one. That's not gonna happen. Yeah.
Now, when it comes to the price of the house, you guys said you have 100 agents. Are you as the agent, do you set the price, or do you have to run it by your management or something like that, or your broker, or do you kind of set the price? Who sets the price?
I would say it's all by agents. It's all by agents, and I would say different agents do things differently. They run comps differently. They have different strategies. They have different mindset and thought about a certain property.
Got it.
One agent might think that the property is worth more than what I think, just because he sees the value in it, and either himself or another agent actually sells it.
So you guys are all still kind of separate. So if I'm working with you and I'm working for you, I'm working with you basically. I'm not working with every other agent. So even if a property comes out, I would call you essentially.
Right. So we basically assign investors with one agent in the brokerage. Just keep it simple and clean, because we don't want different agents working with one investor.
Right.
If you are working with any of the agents, that agent is basically the point of contact for you.
Got it. So and then who determines the ARVs? Is there a science to that, or is there a particular way you do your ARVs, or do you kind of just ballpark it based on comps?
Obviously we have system and like calculators that we use basically, but there's no. I would say we mostly rely on that calculator. I mean, you can kind of use rule of thumb in terms of like analyzing any deals that you do, but we go probably more in depth. I would say a little bit. So we're considering all the little costs too. So
yeah, like speaking of the little costs, also the rehab. Who do you? I mean, you guys are going in the properties, right? Sometime or no? Sometimes
we do. Yeah.
So then, who determines the rehab? Sometimes you put out. Do you guys tell your clients how much it would cost in rehab or estimate rehab?
We don't. No.
You don't do that?
Because we are not in that business. That's exactly why.
That's good, because a lot of wholesalers do. A lot of wholesalers, they'll tell me like, $60K rehab or whatever.
Yeah. We kind of estimate that for ourselves to kind of be able to come up with.
But you don't put it out in public or to the investors.
Yeah, we don't want to, because I think when you do that, you kind of set an expectation for the investor, although you're not really professional.
You're not. You're not.
Why would you do that? Yeah, we don't want to. Yeah, we don't.
It's just like, because I've been through a lot of wholesalers, and that's what they do basically. So it's just you guys. Yeah, that's actually a good thing, because like the liability will be on you. Hey man, no, this property cost me way more than we originally thought. Yeah, so people get really mad at that kind of stuff. So I'm glad you guys kind of stay out of that. But do you look at any big items like roof, HVAC, and let the clients know that they're busted basically, or none of any of that?
We do, yeah. I mean, if there's anything wrong, we try to get as much information as we could from the seller and from the property. We prepare a package normally, and we don't normally just send out an address. We basically have a whole package of like pictures and videos and comms and all the documents needed for that. So, and in a way, we want to basically provide the investors something that they can make a decision.
Yeah, with as much information as possible, so they make a happy decision. Are there any contingencies that these investors have when they work with you guys? Are they allowed to ever back out, or is it just
they're like all of the deals are non-contingent.
Okay.
As is cash. So there's no reason to put.
Are you allowed to finance any of the deals with you guys?
No, we don't do that.
Or hard money even? You don't even do hard money?
We do hard money, yeah. I mean, hard money is probably cash, right?
It's close to it, but it's not like it's not. It's still financing though.
Right, but no, we do hard money, but we don't do financing.
Like conventional financing.
Conventional loans, and the reason being is it's going to take longer, I would say.
It is,
and there is uncertainty in there if they could actually be on time. So we are restricted on the closing dates. That's why we basically use hard money or cash.
Yeah. So how strict are you on the closing dates in terms of like what happens if the investor is late? Do you make them pay any fees or anything like that, or?
If the investor, well, the thing is they lose the deal and the escrow money deposit.
You just cancel the deal right away?
Yeah, we can't, again, like double closing, like having the terms set in one escrow, you basically have to do it on the other. That's what makes the process a little bit, I would say, sensitive, might be the good word. Like,
Yeah.
it's
Time
not that all.
sensitive, yeah.
It's not a process that all the title companies would do, right? All the
No.
escrow companies.
No, they don't.
So there are specific ones that are actually doing it, and they know the right way of doing it. So there's a reason for that, because at any point something could go wrong, and we want to manage that. So if there is a closing date set on the front side, it should be on the other side too, on the back
Got
side.
it.
And we actually communicate all these with the investors up front. And we let them know, like, all these properties are as is, cash, no contingencies. Escrow money deposit is non-refundable. So just make sure that if you like the deal.
Nice, man. So you got all these properties under contract. We talked about it a little bit, but how many properties fall out or like don't get sold by you guys? You're saying, I mean, you're telling me the number. It's ridiculous. I want to hear it again, because it's really crazy how many you got. How many properties do you get under contract, or what do you think the percentage is that close, basically? Like the percentage of properties that close with you guys after under contract.
I would say majority of them. Majority we can sell them, but I don't have a specific number.
No, not a specific number, but I'm just.
But there are here and there are all deals that are coming and fall apart for so many reasons.
Of course. But the
yeah,
majority of them, you guys are.
The majority of them we sell them. Yeah.
Wow.
And
that's really good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the process that you guys have. The tighter the process, the more properties that you're going to sell.
And then I've seen investors that they're just trying to, like if we have a house like by showing and bid, they're kind of trying to like step back and let the bidding happening and see what's going to happen. And I tell them, like, it's going to sell, and even when if it doesn't sell, let's say that now the investor wants to negotiate on it.
So you guys have live bidding, or
we basically have like a time set.
On some properties.
Time, yeah.
Yeah, where like you just have to say how much you'll give for it, kind of thing.
Nobody at the brokerage knows about the bidding, so we have a different team that take care of that.
Oh, okay.
So they are the only ones that know what are the other bids. We trying to keep it fair for all the investors.
Got it.
So we don't really know the other numbers. We have to guesstimate. That's a real bidding.
I get it. Yeah, no, I'm
within the brokerage. So.
No, I'm with you. Well, anyway, we've talked a lot about the wholesaling stuff. Is there anything we missed? Maybe anything you want to share? Because I wanted to talk about one last thing, kind of before I let you go. But
sure.
Any crazy stories about wholesaling you want to mention, or anything like that, or any cool stories that would make a good?
I mean, it's
good
unpredictable, man. Like you can never see. Like I've seen deals that I thought they fall apart and they sold for over asking. So
yeah, I know that happens all the time here in Southern California, where things are like, it's still crazy expensive, and that's my kind of the last topic I wanted to discuss with you, because I think, the OC Register. We were just talking about this. I want to read it. I'm going to read it again. The article by the OC Register that just came out, guys. I'll put it in the comments section for those people that are watching. The OC Register, it's a big newspaper basically here in Orange County, and they released, and it's on their Instagram too, that a home buyer would have to make $349,200 a year to buy the county's $1.37 million median priced existing single family home in the first quarter according to an affordability stats from the California Association of Realtors. That means you got to make 350 grand to buy a house in Orange County, according to, National Association of Realtors or California Association of Realtors. And first of all, that number is absolutely ridiculous.
It's insane.
Yeah, the people who make that kind of money is almost next to nothing. Like, I believe what's 1%? That's like the top 1% of the nation make that kind of money. So the reason I mention this is because I think that if you guys are looking for your next home, I think that buying a home off of a wholesaler might be a good option. And the reason is that $1.37 million average median price. If you guys can get that, let's just say for $950, you're going to put 80 to 90, 80,000 into it. You'll have a little bit of room. At least you'll get somewhat of a good deal. And we have some great financing options. We do the hard money. We have some options now where I'm doing 10% down now. If you can get me a good deal, I'll get you 10% down. And I mean a good deal as in 75% ARV or better. But because a lot of people, they don't want to come in with that much money down. And if you guys are buying properties from Paymon here, where all the properties or all the closing costs are included, the only thing that you have to come out of pocket is the lender fees, really, because all title, escrow, all that stuff is covered, right? So anyway, I mentioned that just to talk to you a little bit about the home prices and what your friends and colleagues kind of think about this. Like, do you guys talk about this? How it's like unaffordable to live here, and just I don't know what everybody's doing. And what do you think? Like, what do you think about basically the average family here having to make this kind of money? I mean, it is kind of ridiculous.
You kind of expect that from California. It's, I mean, it's one of the greatest places in the world that we are living in. That's how I always look at California.
Yeah.
In terms of like the nature, the beach, the weather,
right.
Even the economy of the state. It's the fifth in the world. Like
it's something like that. Yeah, if you take
economies.
Exactly. Yeah. We're bigger than Canada, I know.
Right.
You said you went to Minnesota. You went to a bunch of places. You've never been to Canada, right?
No.
Well, You never lived to Canada.
I've been there, but never.
But yeah, California is bigger than Canada.
Right.
So it's bigger than Canada. It's bigger than Australia. Some of these places are obviously like pretty big countries. But yeah, it's the seventh.
I think the GDP is higher than Argentina. That's
probably for sure. Yeah,
something like that.
Argentina's going down the drain, by the way. So that's not a good. Argentina's inflation rate right now is one of the highest in the world. It's one of the worst economies in the world right now. We could talk a little bit about, but it's Argentina. Lebanon's going to crap right now.
Yeah.
My family's from Egypt. Egypt is going down right now because of the inflation. And they're building a new city. But anyway, in terms of our economy here, but yeah, it does say something about our economy. You're right. For somebody to 350 is not realistic on one person's salary. But you and your partner, your wife or whatever, you guys would have to still make a lot of money to purchase. And I don't know. I don't have all the statistics in front of me. You guys can check out the article, and I don't know how much people are putting down. But I would think, I don't know, this would have to be with minimum down because if you're putting a big chunk of money down, you don't need to make $350K a year, because $350K is what is that? A little over $30,000 a month. You definitely do not need to make that kind of money to buy a 1 point. Because I'm doing loans all day, and people are, I would say, closer to the $20,000 a month mark when they're buying in the early millions. Mm-hmm. But yeah, man, it's getting crazy out here, and I think that's one of the benefits of wholesaling out here or running any kind of business. Really, is that the prices are crazy high. So because our prices is high, your paychecks are high too, or they're higher than they would be if you're working in Minnesota. So when you're working with $200,000 homes all day, now you have some homes. But yeah, what's like the biggest one you guys have done? Like, what have you guys done? Any like really really large wholesale deals?
We keep it on for like residential, basically. Fourplexes, that's the biggest in terms of the type and.
No, I'm talking about like for price. What's the highest priced one that somebody bought? Can you remember anything like that?
Well, normally the properties that we sell, depending on the area, it's anywhere from, like, I would say, 350 to 1.234 million. And we are actually covering like majority of the Southern California. So let's say from Ventura County to San Diego, San Bernardino, Riverside, all those areas, they're all also included. So those areas you can get something for as little as like 350 or 300 something.
Yeah, on Riverside, San Bernardino.
Yeah, and then Fernando Valley, that would be more on a higher end, or
Yeah.
I would say maybe like 1.235.
That's still not bad, though.
Yeah.
That's still not bad, especially because with the prices we're seeing here in Orange County. Well, anyway, I appreciate you coming on. I think we kind of discussed everything that we needed to talk about. I don't want to take up too much more of your time. But if you guys want to catch Paymon, where can they, even if they wanted to get on your investor list, where can people find you online, or how do they call you, or how do they contact you?
Are you guys gonna write something down somewhere?
Well, I'm gonna put it in the comments section.
Okay. You can actually direct me on Instagram. I mean, I'm trying to build the social media kind of thing too. So I would
build up your Instagram. What's your Instagram?
It's Pro Closure. You can find me there. You're more than welcome to actually.
I'll share it on the
share my contact info too.
Yeah, I'll put all his. I'll put your Instagram name on the comments section. If you guys are watching on YouTube, check out the comments section, or the whatever it is at the bottom, whatever they call it. I'll put your information there. And man, I'll tag you on Instagram so you guys can contact. If you're an investor and you're looking for a good deal, or if you're just a home buyer, honestly, if you're just a home buyer and you're looking at prices right now and you're looking for a good deal on a home that obviously he has a ton of homes that he could send you, but they are going to need to be fixed up, most likely, unless you like living in. I
think what comes risky for retail buyers is just the fact that these properties are going to be non-contingent.
Yeah, that's yes.
So they can't really inspect the property. As an investor, you get in, anything is wrong, you kind of expect that and have the money to fix it.
Right.
But as a retail, you might be disappointed if you figure out
something. These are not turnkey properties. I mean, you have to expect things that are going to be wrong with the house.
But if you guys do it and take the risk, there's a reward for it.
Yeah.
Like you get the property cheaper. You basically have to add value to it, or renovate it and make it ready to live in, and you're automatically adding value to the property. So but you don't need to wait for 5 to 7 years for the property to appreciate. So you can basically make money.
Forced equity, sweat equity, forced equity, whatever you guys want to call it. But again, bro, appreciate your time. Paymon guys here from Fair Trade Real Estate, #1 wholesaler in Southern California. Thank you.
Thank you.